Hi, good morning, everyone. Please confirm if you can hear me.
I can hear you. Good morning.
Good morning, Rebecca.
I can hear you as well. Good morning.
Good morning, Oluwatosin. I think both of you are new, right? Were you in the class last week?
No, I was in the class last week.
Oh, Rebecca was in the class. So, okay, welcome back, Rebecca. What about you, Tosin?
This is my first class.
Oh, okay, welcome. Thanks for joining in. Let me just put my video on and introduce myself again. Hi, my name is Kita Koiki. I'm with the Training Workspace. So, Training Workspace, just to give a brief overview, is just a collective of data consultants who would really love to empower other people to be able to analyze their data, become more efficient at work, improve the results of their analysis, improve the way that they analyze their data, the way they present it. Lots of people want to improve their work or be more efficient. So that's really what we're here for, to learn. This is a beginner's class, and don't worry about the fact that you missed the last class. I think that you'll still be able to understand and follow along. Do you have any experience working with Power BI at all?
Okay, I actually don't. I don't have any experience, but I have watched the video for last week already before I joined the class this morning. So I just hope to learn more and just continue the classes.
All right, welcome. Welcome to all our returnees. Hi, Joan. Hi, Kenny. Hi, Rebecca. We're just waiting a few more.
Good morning. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning. We're just waiting a few more minutes for more people to join in, and then we can start, because the topic that we're going to be talking about is very important for everybody to understand. So I'd really like for a number of people to be able to join before we do that. So we can talk a bit before that starts. So sorry about sending the video in late. We're experiencing technical difficulties. I think we've learned a bit, and we'll try to get the videos out earlier, and then will I say assignments for the first class and second class can come in together. Has anyone in the last week tried to build a Power BI report or anything like that? Nobody? Okay, that's fine. So today we're going to be covering data modeling and visualization. We're going to go through the slides as we did last week, and then go into a demo session where we'll actually see this happening in real time. If you'd like, and if you're maybe caught up, you can follow along, or again, we can send the recordings next week. Oh, sorry, before next week, before the last class next week. So that's fine. So it's about 11 past 9 now. So we'll give it another 4 minutes, and then we'll start at 9:15. Thank you.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Ken. Blessing.
Yeah, sorry, please. I have some request to make with regards to the video, because currently, I don't know. Let me just talk for myself. There has been light issue for some weeks now, so I will appreciate it if, because at the end, or maybe after the demo, before the demo finished, my network was bad and there was no light. and the recording came in very late. So I would appreciate it if maybe the recording can come maybe 2 days after the training, so that it will give us ample time to actually look at the recording and also lay our hands on some stuff. I don't know if the request can be granted.
Yes, I don't know if you heard me. That's what we had initially planned to do. It's just we experienced some difficulty loading the recording. Really apologize for that. And this time we'll try to see if we can get it to you quicker than the last.
Okay. Thanks so much.
Yeah. Can you please everyone confirm if you can see my screen?
Yes, I can see it.
Yes, I can see it.
Yes, I can.
Yes, I can.
Okay. A few more minutes. Start. So for newcomers, for existing audience, we like these sessions to be interactive. So I'm going to be asking you questions. By the time we get to the demo session, to be honest, I expect that you people are the ones telling me which steps to take. I'm not even going to be, I'm not going to think too much about it. I'll say, okay, bless you, what am I supposed to do next? And you tell me, do this and this and this. And that's how I expect the session to go. So hopefully and you can either maybe unmute and just ask your question, or you can put a question in the chat box and someone will answer your question. If you think that it's like it's not a big question, it's not a difficult question to just get clarity on, you can do that. So Bookie, please confirm. Please confirm if we have a good number of participants.
Yes, we do. We have about 8 participants.
All right, thank you. I'm just going to go ahead and start. Okay, so data modeling, right? Data modeling is, I'd say, the most important part of building Power BI reports. The reason I say this is because you won't be able to display anything, you won't be able to calculate anything if you haven't modeled your data properly, right? So creating relationships in Power BI is key to an accurate report, and we do that through data modeling. If you feel like I'm going too fast at any point, please interrupt me and tell me to go over it again or slow down or anything like that. I really don't want anyone to miss anything. So please let me know if I'm going too fast or I'm going slow, whatever the issue may be. Right, so data modeling, as I said earlier, is one of the features that's used to connect multiple data sources in Power BI. Sorry, it's multiple data sources in the Power BI tool using a relationship, right? So data modeling is the process of basically creating a blueprint, or is creating a simplified diagram of a software system or a database system, and it contains the tables and the data that you're going to use, and there are key aspects of the tables that you use to create relationships between that you use to create relationships with. So to connect the data in multiple tables, that's why we model these relationships using common columns. So these connections now are what allows you to create filters and tables to visualize in your reports. Today, we're going to talk about why it's important to model your data, how to identify the primary and foreign keys, and how to create relationships. And then we'll go into the demo. So just to start with, a good data model, this is what we're aiming for, right? A good data model offers the following benefits. Your data exploration is faster because you have your tables connected and they're all related. Looking up the different data and different aspects of it is much faster and it's much easier for you to do. the aggregations are simpler to build. This just means it's easier for you to do calculations. So if I want to make a certain calculation or something like that, and my data is properly modeled, it's quick, it's fast, and I don't need to crack my brain trying to figure out certain information. Your reports are more accurate. In fact, your reports are entirely accurate. If you have a bad model, you can almost be rest assured that your reports are going to be inaccurate. Your writing your reports takes a lot less time. So even creating the visuals that you want to do, and you see this when we get to the demo session, that it take you less time if you've modeled your data properly. And your reports are easier to maintain in the future. So it's if you imagine I have built a house, and the way that I've built it is in a very clean and clear structure. I have my diagrams, I have something. So you are coming on, you want to build another floor. Because I have laid such a good foundation, and I've said, okay, this is where X goes, this is where Y goes. If you move this pillar from left to right, maybe this entire block will fall or something like that. But you have that information. So it's easier for you to build on it. It's the same way it's easier for you to maintain reports in the future, because if you wanted to add more information in, you can just build on a model you already have and you'll be able to implement that. So the first, will I say, key concepts that are important for us to understand are the concepts of primary and foreign keys. So let's just imagine, or let's imagine, let's look at this table here, right? So this is one table and this is another table. So in this table, we're imagining that this is a student information table. So we have the student ID, we have the first name, we have the last name, and we have the course ID of the courses that the students are taking, right? So this table is an independent table. This table is students. Let's call it the student table. And this table here gives us more details on the courses. So when I say, okay, what is course A004? Course A004 is the accounts course, C002 is computing, P301 is history, and so on. Right. And a primary key is basically a column, right? The column, because these are columns in the table, and these are all of the rows in the table. So a primary key is basically a column that is used as a unique identifier to quickly pass data within the table, right? And a primary key's main features are that it must contain unique values for each row of data. It cannot contain null values. That means it cannot contain null values means that it cannot be blank. You cannot have it. You cannot have, for example, in this table, I can't have computing as my course name and I don't have any course ID here. Every row must have a primary key value, right? Now, a foreign key is a column or a group of columns in another table that provides a link between the data in two tables, right? So from what I've said now, from what I've said now, you have, for example, this is a primary key. This is the primary key in this table because I have unique identifiers for each row of student names. So I have L002345 identifying Jim Black. And this is a primary key because each student must have a unique student ID. The way that you think about it, when you're in school, you have your student ID. At work, you have your employee ID. You have your NIN, you have your BVN. Nobody can have the same BVN as you. So if they have a table, that's how banks and everything, they're able to know who is who, because in every table, 10001 must be Blessing. It cannot be anybody else. And you cannot have somebody called Blessing in the table of data that does not have a BVN. That person cannot be in the BVN table, if that makes sense. I'm just trying to give us some examples in the real world where you need to be able to identify somebody uniquely. If you think about the courses that you did, if you think about employees that you have, all of these things have unique IDs that will identify them alone. Even your phone number is a unique identifier because it is only you that will have that number, right? So that's a primary key. Now, because I want to create a relationship between this table and this table, I will look for what is common between them. And what is common between these two tables is the course ID column. right? So in this my course table, I have course ID as a primary key. And in the student table, I have course ID as the foreign key. Because if we block this table of, let's imagine that this is not here. We have student ID as a primary key. This is a foreign key that helps us link these two tables together. I hope that that's clear. So it acts as a cross-reference between tables because it references the primary key of another table, so it established a link for them. So if I have in Power BI, for example, I have my student's name is Jim Black, and I want to see which course Jim Black is studying. And I don't know what C002 means, but the thing is, because I have a relationship between these two things, I can look up Jim Black and I can now get accounts, or I can get, computing when I look up Jim Black's number. So because I have these two tables connected, I'll be able to see the course name of the course that Jim is studying. Without this relationship, the relationship was not there. I'll know the course ID, yes, but I'm not going to be keeping course IDs of the keys in my head. So if I don't really know the name, I don't know what A004 means. It could be accounting, it could be architecture, it could be whatever. But because I want to know the names, I'll connect these two tables together using this course ID relationship. Another example now.
Sorry, I have a question.
Yes.
So when you're talking about the primary, I can't see the slide again. Sorry, can you please go back? All right, thank you. So for the primary key, does it mean that the first column is for a primary key, while other columns are foreign keys? Is that what it means?
Okay, no, thank you for that question. That's not what it means. Not every column is a foreign key. There's specific columns. Every other column is just a normal column that is speaking to the data that is speaking to. A primary key, right, is the unique identifier. So in this table, in this table, this is the primary key, right? The foreign key must be a primary key from another table. So you see here, what I mean is this is a foreign key here, right? And it is the primary key of another table. Foreign keys must be used to link two tables together. If this last name, for example, is not a foreign key, because last name is not linking me to any other table. But because I want to connect this table and this table together, and this is the column that they have in common, and this is a unique column here, I can connect it to this, and I have a relationship. So not all columns are foreign key columns. It's just that, it's just what you call them. It's like, okay, when you are at home, okay, let's think about football, right? They play home and away matches. So when I'm playing in my house, I'm home. The person that is coming to play is playing away. Me, I'm playing at home, right? When I am in my own table, I am the primary key. If there's a column there that is helping me reference another table, that column is my foreign key because that column is away. Me, I am home, the column is away, right? But not everybody else is a foreign key. I don't know if that makes a bit more sense.
Yes, I understand. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. I wanted to use another example to explain further on primary and foreign keys. So in this instance, we have two tables here. We have a vendors table and we have a products table. Now, based on our research, we would believe that maybe sometimes we'll have one vendor for one product, or we can also have one vendor for many products, right? And for example, if let's say we have a grocery store, we have a supermarket, I'm the owner of Ebano and I'm making plenty money, and I'm trying to see the vendors I have and what they supply me. From which brand do we like? What's a Nigerian brand that we like? Chivita. Which one should we use for an example? Someone should say, because I feel like I'm the only one talking. So someone should just give me an example. Blessing, please give me a brand name.
You can use Nessun.
Okay, thank you. Nestle is a vendor, right? Nestle provides me with the normal clear bottle. They provide me with the green one. They provide me with the sparkling water. They provide me with, I think Nestle uses, I think they also make some sweets and chocolates and things like that. So I have one vendor, right, Nestle, and Nestle provides me with plenty different products. So if on my vendor's table now, right, each vendor has a unique ID. So maybe it will be 101 Nestle or something. Everyone will have their unique identifier in my table so that each vendor has their own unique ID. And that vendor ID will be the primary key on the vendor's table. Similarly, on the products table now, each product will have their own unique key. So, for example, you know how obviously everybody goes to the supermarket. So, supermarket is the easiest example to use. Anytime they scan a product, even if it's from Nestle, they scan for the Nestle water with the blue cover and they scan for the Nestle water with the green cover. It will give you a different price because they're not the same product. No matter how similar they are, once a product is unique on its own, it has its own unique product ID, right? So every product too has their own unique ID. That will be on the product table. And we have the product that has expired on the product table on our shelves, and we want to know the name of the vendor that supplied that product. We need to be able to relate these two tables together. Because here on this vendor's table, yes, I have the vendor ID, I have the vendor name on my vendor's table. This is my primary key. On the products table, I have a unique column for each product, which is their product ID. Maybe the blue cover bottle is blue one, green is green one. I also have the vendor ID. So if I want to know the vendor name, I need to connect these two together because the ID can be a long number. You know, sometimes, like for example, if I can't be identifying you by your BVN, I can't say, oh, good morning, 2005667. No, I'll look for your name because your name is linked to your BVN. So the vendor, I want to see, okay, for this ID, for my vendor 267859, what is that person's name? And that is why I need a relationship between my products table and my vendors table, right? So we want to be able to see that information. So because we can establish that connection, it means that we can get more information on the vendor for that product, right? So this was just to give us an example. So if you're wondering what this signifies really, it means that there's one vendor who provides many products. So I'm still going to talk about the kinds of relationships that are possible between different date tables. I'm just trying to explain the basic concept of why one, you need to identify a primary key, why you need to identify a foreign key, and why it's important to make that relationship. So in my explanation earlier, I already said, okay, my vendor is Nestle. I don't have multiple. I can't have in my ID. I can't have multiple Nestles. Nestle is only one. But Nestle can give me many products. They can give me the blue water, the red water, the big one, the small one, the tiny one. So because they can have many products that are mapped to their one vendor. So moving on from concepts, right? So because of the primary key, foreign key now, we do now talk about the types of relationships that are possible between primary and foreign keys. So we have a one-to-many relationship, many to one, one-to-one, and many to many. These are the types of relationships that you can create in Power BI, right? One to many and many to one, they're kind of like the example I just showed you or the example I explained earlier with one vendor, many products, right? So the relationship there will be like one to many because there's one vendor that is giving me many products. You can also have one-to-one relationships. So if we think about like a car company, right? Honda makes what is Accord? Yeah, so Honda Accord. The car model is the Accord. The company is Honda. It's a one-to-one relationship because there are not many. I mean, they can make many models, but for that model, there's only one car company that makes it, right? One to many example, there's one doctor. One doctor treats many patients. Many patients can be treated by one doctor, interchangeable, right? You can also have many to many relationships, meaning you can have many students who are taking many subjects. So for example, if I'm a student, I can be taking 5 different courses in school. And at the same time, this course can be taken by many students. right? But the thing is, within Power BI, one-to-one relationships and many-to-many is often advised that you avoid them, except you have gotten to the level of advanced understanding on how it will affect your data. So for the purpose of this class and for the purpose of most of the visualization you have to do, to be honest, you'll mostly be using one-to-many or many-to-one relationships. It's just important for us to explain what is possible. So this next one I want us to do, sorry, excuse me. Hi, so can you confirm if you can hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Yes, we can.
Sorry, excuse me, just give me 1 second. I apologize for this. Hello? Sorry about that. Please confirm you can still see my screen and you can hear me.
Yes, we can hear you, Mrs. Houston.
Okay. Right. So I've explained primary keys and foreign keys. A primary key, as I said earlier, is a unique identifier. Think about your student ID, product IDs, things like that. A foreign key is what gives me is a primary key of another table, but if it is in my own home table, it has come to my home, it is a foreign key because it's a foreigner. For example, I'm in my house, people come in, they're my guests, right? So the foreign key is like a guest in my table that will give me more information about another table somewhere else. And the modeling relationships that we have are one-to-one, many-to-many, and one-to-many and many-to-one. For the most part, you mostly focus on one-to-many relationships. Examples of one-to-many relationships: a vendor and different products, a teacher, different students, a doctor, different patients, things like that. So within Power BI now, because you have different types of tables and what it is that they do and how you categorize them. That is what will enable you to model your data properly. So a dimension table now, a dimension table, offers more information on the data in the fact table. I'm going to explain the fact table now. And their primary keys are found in the fact table to establish a relationship. So what a dimension table really does is it helps you, just from how the word is, it helps you give more dimension to your data, right? Because a fact table now, it contains this is the primary table in your model, and it contains its own primary keys and foreign keys to other dimension tables. For example, an orders table. To make this a bit, let's say, easier to understand, a fact table would mostly contain the data that will be frequently updated, transactional data that is, that records. Yeah, I think transactional data is the easiest way to say it. So if you think about, again, our example of a supermarket, and somebody comes to buy something today, every single transaction that they make is stored in a table somewhere. So you come and you buy biscuits, Blessing comes and buys a drink, Joanne comes and buys tomorrow and she buys sanitary towels or something. That's transactional data. All that data needs to be stored somewhere and is stored on the same table. So for that table now, for example, that table is frequently updated and it contains a lot of transactional information. So how much money was spent, the product that was bought, um, the store that they bought it in. Let's take Ebano, for example. There are different branches of Ebano. So let's say you buy something. I assume that in the transactional data, there will be a store ID. One store ID to identify if it's the one in Lekki or if it's the one in Yaba or if it's the one in Ikeja. So that table will contain foreign keys to other dimension tables. Now, dimension tables, if I take it back, helps you gain more information on your data. So a dimension table, for example, will be locations or stores. So if I'm in Ebano, if I'm the owner of Ebano, And in my transactional table, that's my fact table, I have, okay, customer. Okay, can I ask a question? Is everyone familiar with the idea of loyalty cards? Hi.
No.
Am I talking to myself?
No.
Okay, loyalty cards, there are cards that let's say companies give you, and the more that you come and buy things from them, they'll give you rewards. So can we mute our mics, please? Thank you. So, for example, in Lebanon, they have a loyalty card program. So if you have your phone number and you buy things, you get points, and your points keep adding up the more that you buy, so that at one point you'll be able to convert your points to money. I think Piggy Vest also has a situation like that. You get points and you get money in rewards. So let's say I buy something today. It will take my loyalty card ID because it uniquely identifies me as the customer. It will take the product ID of what I bought. It will take the store ID of the store that I'm in. It will take the amount of money that was spent, right? And some other information. So if they want to know, or if they want to be able to filter by, okay, the stores in Lekki, the stores in Aja, the stores in other places, that will be on a separate table, and they will now link those two tables together. So here, the fact table is the orders table, the one that contains all the information on the orders. And the dimension table is the table that contains information on the store. So what I mean by information on the store could be the store ID, the store name, the store location, the state that the store is in, the country the store is in, things like that. Because it's very important to understand that. Or I think a question that some people might ask is, why is all of this information not just in one big table? Because to be honest, I could have one big table that contains, if I go back, for example, let me just quickly use this, sorry, as an example here. In this table, I could very well create a table that has student ID, first name, last name, course ID, course name. Right? I could have it in one table instead of having two separate tables. But the problem with that is that Power BI and other database management systems that are based on relational data, they work better the smaller the number of columns in each table that you have. And it's also better for each table to speak to one unified idea or feature or thing. So because I don't want to have too many columns, right? Because it's very important to only use the columns that you need. And because I need each table to uniquely speak to one thing, I'll have my separate tables and create relationships between them. So that's why it's important to not just put everything in just one big table, because it can even affect performance. So I have separate tables that I'll be able to use to filter and give more information. When we get to the demo, you'll be able to see this, I guess, in real time, and we'll be able to conceptualize it a bit better, I believe. So now we're going to assess this data model, and you are the ones that will tell me which one is a fact table, which ones are dimension tables. I should have removed the primary and foreign key so that you people will tell me where the primary and foreign key is, or maybe you explain. But I really want to hear your voices here. John, are you with me?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, could you I don't want you to address everything. Could you give me one table on this in this visual that is a dimension?
It's a dimension table. Sorry, can you repeat your question, please?
Can you tell me, or can you identify one table? Because these three represent three different tables, right? One is for customers, one is for stores, one is for purchases. Based upon the explanations I've given so far, can you identify one as a dimension table?
I think it should be.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
You for a
Sorry,
second.
please. I had an issue at home.
Okay.
I think it should be like, okay, so I'm thinking it should be like customers should be the dimension table. I don't know if I'm right.
Okay.
That's for the customer, yes.
Tosin, would you agree with that?
Okay. I think the customers table is a dimension table and the stores table as well.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, I can't see the participant list, so I don't know who else to call out. Buki, help me pick someone, please.
Rebecca. Okay, I think the stores table. I think the stores table.
Why? The stores table, not the fact table.
Because it gives more information about the stores.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else want to unmute and contribute? Which one do we think is the facts table?
I think the purchases table is the facts table.
Why?
Because the sales amounts, for example, which is a column in the purchases table, would be updated, constantly. And I think that's one of the features you identified as features for a facts table.
All right, thank you so much. So you see, you people are answering my question. I didn't think so. Now that we're going into demo, I'm not the one that's going to model the data. You people will tell me, oh, this is the fact table, this is the dimension table, this is where this is supposed to be connected to. And oh yeah, okay, I have another question. Can someone tell me the type of relationship that might be between this stores table and this purchases table? The type of relationship. So that's the one-to-one, many-to-many, one-to-many, and so on. Just unmute and speak, please.
I think it should be one to many. Small stores, many products.
I'm sorry, say that again.
I think it should be one to many. I'm thinking it's one to many.
Yes, you're absolutely right, because we have our unique store IDs and store names, and it's connected to this. Because purchases can come from many different stores. So if I have different branches and different locations, in this table, I'll have store 1, store 3, store 4, store 5, store 6, and I'll be getting information on all of them in it. Thank you, guys. So now we're going to go into the demo, and we are going to model this data. Please confirm if you can still see my screen. Yes, sorry, I have a question. Go ahead.
Okay, I didn't quite get the relationship difference between the facts table and relational table. I understood the dimensional table.
You understood what? Sorry, I'm sorry, I think I lost you there. Second.
Okay, I didn't quite your explanation on the facts table.
On why purchases is the fact table?
Yeah, like what is the facts table all about?
Okay, so a fact table is usually the table that contains the juicy bit of the information. It contains the transactional data. It contains the data that is updated frequently. So the example I gave earlier was the example of a store, for example. If you look at let's look at this one here. So if I own a supermarket and you come in today and you buy your shoes, the store ID will come in, your customer ID will come into this table, the amount of money that you spent, amongst other kinds of information, right? This is updated frequently. This is updated every day, every second, every minute, because as purchases are coming, it's updated, right? So this is giving me all my transaction information. When I want to do analysis, right? And if I look at only this table and I have store ID, the store name is not here. I don't know the name of the store. I don't know the location. Let's say I want to draw a map of Nigeria and I want to, maybe I'll put a circle and the circle will represent the size of sales in each state. But if I don't know the name of the store or the location of the store or where it's even there, I can't analyze that data. And that is why I need a dimension table to give dimension to my story. So if I have here in my fact table, all of the transactions that are coming in, all of the information is coming in here. This stores table here acts as a dimension to filter this. So I'll be able to see more information on this store. Oh, this store's name is this. This is where, this is the location that this store is at. This is the state that is there. So this fact table mostly holds transaction information that's updated frequently. And it contains foreign keys to the dimension tables because I need to know what's here. I need to know the information that's here so that I'll be able to describe more what is here. For me to know the sales amount by different stores, or for me to know my top customer, for example. Let's say I have all of this customer ID and I want to know which customer has bought the most from my store, or my top 10 customers. You know, sometimes they'll be like, oh, you're my top customer this month, or something like that. So because I have a relationship between my fact table here, that's holding transactions, and my dimension table, I can get more information on the first name, last name, phone number, and email of that my top customer. Is that a bit clearer now?
Yes, it is. Thank you.
All right, that is great. Okay. Yeah, so we're about to go into our demo session. So in the last, let's remind ourselves of where we stopped in the last class. Buki had taken us through all of the steps. Oh, sorry, this was from Buki's computer, so we can't open it in here. We don't want trouble. So I guess, okay, this is a good point to explain this. So the reason that this error is coming is because this Power BI file was created on Buki's laptop using data that was on her laptop. So because she has sent me the file and I've opened it on my desktop now, it has a data source pathway issue because it can't connect to the data directly. So oftentimes, what you do, especially if you're using Power BI for work, you connect to a cloud source. I'm not going to, let's say, go into it too much, but I wanted to highlight that. So if somebody's sending you a Power BI file to work on, tell them to also send you the data so that maybe you can connect it, or to put it in like like Google Drive, for example, is a cloud source. To put it somewhere that you can connect to, so it is always available and it's not from somebody else's PC that you have to look at data. But I can view the data here in data view. So just so that we let's say access our data and we know which connections to make. So I have a customer table here. In customer table, I have customer ID, customer name, and the segment that the customer falls under. In my locations table, I have location ID, I have the city, the state, the postal code, and the region. This data is American-based data, so it's based on an American country. I have an orders table. This orders table contains order ID, the order dates, the ship dates, ship mode, customer ID. Let's see what else we have here. We have product ID, product name, the sales quantity, and things like that. Then I have my products table, which gives me information on the tables. And I have my sales team information here that shows me the sales rep, the team that they are within, and the team manager. Right? So everybody's with me so far. Here, if you click on it, this is where you go back to view the model view, right? And this is a representation of my tables. So I think it can be pretty obvious, but I want you guys to tell me which one is the fact table and which ones are dimension tables?
The others table is the facts table.
Thank you. That is correct because it is holding transactional information. That is where all of the that's where all of the data goes into. And my dimension tables here are customer, products, sales team, and locations. Now to show us if I don't connect this data together, right? And we have now gotten to the analysis part because what we've done is we've assessed our data, we've cleaned it. We now want to start visualizing after we build our model. Now, I want to know how much money has each sales team manager brought in to the company, right? How much money have they brought into the company? And I don't have a relationship between these two tables. Now, if I was to go into the reports view of Power BI to build this model out, this is here. These are the fields. These fields. This is where your data comes into. So it just shows you the different columns that are in your data. Just as we saw earlier, the location ID, product ID, order ID, things like that. So you can click on the ones that you want to visualize. What I said earlier is I want to see the sales amount. So I click on here. I can click on here or I can drag it to the page. Either one works. And I want to see from my orders table, I've carried the sales amount, right? And I want to see from my sales team, I want to see which manager made the most money. Now let me make this a table visual so that we can all just see, right? So what is showing me now, my managers are Alicia Caldwell, Brittany Bold, James Goodwill, there's Organic, and then there's Tracy Banks. Everybody's amount, if you guys can see clearly here, it's showing me 2,297,200.86. It's not nearly possible for all of my managers to be bringing me the same amount of money into the company, right? And the reason that this is a problem, this is why this is inaccurate, is because there's no relationship at the moment between my orders table and my sales team manager. So Power BI does not know that there's any difference. There's nothing that they should be showing. It's just giving you a visualization that you have told it to do. So now if I go back to my reports now, if I go back to modeling view and I create a relationship, the way that we create relationships between two tables is you take the foreign key and you can connect it with the primary key on this table. This is. Hi, please confirm if you can still see my screen and hear me.
Yes, I can see your screen and I can hear you. Yes, I can see you.
All right, great. So that's one way to create a relationship. Another way to do is you can click on manage relationships up here.
I didn't see how you created the last relationship.
What I did was, okay, I'll show you again, but let me just show this one. I can click on new here. You select the table that you want to connect to. You can select the other table. Let me choose customers now. And customer ID connects to customer ID. It already brings it out here that this is a many-to-one relationship and you're making this relationship active. Because I have obviously I have many customer information in my transaction table, this is my orders table, and I'm connecting to my customer table, I can click OK, right? This is where, what I did before was just to drag, so for example, product ID to product ID. I dragged the relationship.
Okay.
So those are two ways to create those relationships. And if I do the last one for location ID, actually no, I said I don't know how I was tricked or how I forgot that somebody else will be doing the modeling for this, not me. You people swindled me somehow, and I feel like somebody should have stopped me. I said no, we're the ones that are supposed to model this. So basically, this is all that you do with modeling. You've assessed your data, you've identified your primary keys, your foreign keys, and you know how you want to connect to your data. But just to go over it again so that we know, I guess this is what we're doing. This here is a primary key in the product ID table because it uniquely identifies each product, right? The what's it called? The foreign key for product ID can be found in the orders table. So here it is a foreign key because it has left its home and it has come to give us more information on the data, right? Now that we have a relationship between these, you'll see that this has changed now. Let me make it a bit bigger. So I can see that Alicia 235, Brittany Bo 234, this one's 220, this one's 166. So now it is giving me the correct values. Does everyone understand so far? Do we have questions? Please ask me any questions that you have. No questions? Do we understand primary keys, foreign keys?
For now,
Sorry?
In this particular modeling you just did,
Yes.
which are the foreign keys and the primary keys?
Thank you for that reminder. You are going to tell me that actually, let me share my screen again, and you will tell me which ones you think are the primary keys and foreign keys. So, for example, in this customer table, tell me what you think. Is there a primary key here? Is there a foreign key here? Is it a connection table?
Okay. Customer ID is the primary key
Why?
because it uniquely identifies the customer.
Thank you. And if I click on my orders table here, I have customer ID. And customer ID in the orders table is what? Is it a primary key or foreign key?
A foreign
Exactly.
key.
It is a foreign key because it is identifying and giving me, it's helping me to link that table together. So when I want to know the customer name, sorry, excuse me, when I want to know the customer name, it will show me the customer that I want, and I'll be able to create that relationship. As I explained earlier, because there was no relationship between sales team and orders, then I wouldn't be able to know the actual amount that these people have brought in. Similarly, if there's no relationship between customer and orders, I won't be able to know which segment has done what, which customer has bought what, how many times they bought it, or anything like that. Right? Any other questions? Please ask your questions.
please, how do you get the I made this up?
Sorry, could you say that again?
I said, how do we get the data set you made use of, like this orders and customer when we are doing ours? Or is it part of the
It was sent, yes.
file set?
Yes, it is. It is part of the file that we sent. It's part of the panel. So if you
Okay,
check your
please, I have a question.
I like the sound of that.
Can you hear me, please?
Yes, I can.
Okay. So trying to understand, trying to know which one is your foreign key and which one is your primary key, you have to go to the data visualizing icon. I'm trying to understand how you navigated through this Power BI. Am I right?
Okay, so who is speaking at the moment?
This Clementina here.
Okay, Clementina, I remember last week,
Yeah.
Buki opened the Power Query editor, and that's where she did the transformation on the data.
Yes.
Right. So that's one place that you can access the data and look at the different things that are there. You can also view the data on the data view tab. Yes, that's the one that's in the middle here.
Okay.
We don't do transformations and all of those things here. It's just that you can view the data that you have imported. If you wanted to change anything or remove any column, you'd have to go back to the Power Query editor.
Okay. I get.
Okay. Any other questions from anyone? Okay, in the absence of questions, I would need to take, let's say, an excuse or a permission or something. We all know the state of our country, and that's why I do not have lights at the moment to charge this laptop. I'm going to switch to another one. So Buki is going to handle the presentation on the data visualization, and I will be back for the demo to build our visualizations while I sort out transitioning laptops and figuring out my power issue. Buki, are you?
Yes, I'm here, Kitty.
Okay, all right, so I'll stop sharing my screen here.
Okay, good morning, everybody. So I'll be taking over now to just take us through the presentation part of data visualization. I'll be sharing my screen now. So let me know when you can see my screen.
You can see your screen.
Okay, thank you. So we'll be talking about data visualization, visualizing your data. For data visualization, we would talk about choosing the right visuals, the checklist for choosing your visuals, and examples of visuals to choose. And for choosing the right visuals, there are a lot of visuals that you can use to represent a data, but you have to make sure that you choose the right visual that best shows what you want the data to say. So there are different type of visuals. We have visuals that do comparison. We have visuals that show change over time. We have visuals that show a part of the data when compared to a whole part of the data set. And then we have flow visuals, we have visuals that help show ranking, we have spatial visuals, we have distribution visuals, we have correlation, and we have single. So let's assume that you have a data set and you're trying to figure out the right visual to use. So you have to think, okay, what am I trying to show in this data? And that is one of the most important thing in choosing your visual. You don't just choose a bar chart because you feel that, okay, bar chart is what everybody is using. Does bar chart really tell what you want the visual to say or you want the data to say? So you have to decide what to use. For example, if you're showing trends over time, trends between maybe 2018, data from 2008 to like 2021, you don't want to use a bar chart to show that. In that case, you'd use like a line visual for that because line visual it shows trend over time. Everybody wants to be seeing bars of 2018, 2019, 2020. No, I want to see the trends over the years. So in showing the trends over the years, I would use a line chart for that as against a bar chart. So if you want to see, for example, distribution between male, female, let's assume you have a data set that has male, female, and others. For some people don't want to put their gender. If you want to show that kind of visual, the best representation is a pie chart or a donut chart. There are some data that you don't represent with a pie chart. If, for example, you want to show sales for like 50 customers, you don't use a pie chart to show sales for 50 customers, because in that case, the pie chart is not going to show you anything. For pie chart, it is good to represent a small amount of distribution, maybe a category that has just 3 or 4 categories, as against showing 10 different categories on a pie chart. It is going to be messy and you're not going to see anything with that. When you get to Power BI, you'll be able to understand or see how these visuals are and how best to represent your data using these visuals. Oh, demo 3. Okay, before we go into the demo, let's talk a bit about the visuals. We have, for example, area charts, which is one of the visuals in Power BI, and this area chart emphasizes the magnitude of change over time. Remember that I mentioned using a line chart to show trends over time, but for area chart, you can use it to show the magnitude of change over time. So, for example, you have sales over the years, and you want to see how your products are doing in terms of sales over the years. You can use an area chart to show it. And what you do in that, what the area chart does is that it shows the magnitude of change. When we get to Power BI, you're going to see that the magnitude, how much change did these products make over the years. Then we also have another visual called the bar chart. Everybody knows what the bar chart does. Bar chart is also good to represent segmented data, or maybe in that case where we want to represent our customers, the sales each customers make over the years, or not over the years, but sales by customers, for example. You can use your bar chart to represent that. And that is better than using a pie chart. I'm sure Kite will show us that why using a pie chart in this situation is not as good as using a bar chart. Although, because you have like over 50 customers, the bar chart is going to be very long. But there's a way for you to filter in such a way that you can only show your top 10 customers on that bar chart, maybe by the sales amount, or your bottom 10 customers. I'm going to teach you how to maximize your data to show only useful information that you feel that the people that you're presenting to, maybe your managers or your colleagues, shows only the information that you feel that they want to see, as against showing 50 customers on the bar chart. Some people are not even interested in what is going on in the retail. They probably just want to see your top 10 sales, your top 10 customers, or your bottom 10 customers, to know, okay, for these bottom 10 customers, why are they the bottom 10 customers? Let's reach out to them. Let's offer them incentives. Maybe they will come back. But for the middle customers, people are not interested in things like that. But for the visualization, there's not so much to present. As visualization, as the name implies, we're visualizing. So if we're not showing you anything, you probably would not understand what we're saying. So I'll be handing over back to Kite to just show us the Power BI representation of how to visualize your data. Kite, are you ready for us?
Hi, can everyone hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. I'll stop sharing now. Okay, Kite just dropped off because she's having network issues. So let me just take it to Power BI, share my screen again so that we can visualize the data. I'll just take you through a bit of it. Sorry, Kite is having power issues.
Okay, let me know if you can see my Power BI screen. Can anyone hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes, we can see it.
Okay. So I want to, before we go and start visualizing, I want to assume that we have had a look at the data set, and maybe we already have some ideas of the kind of things we want to show on the data set. Does anybody have any particular data metric they want us to visualize so that we can work with that? Anybody? Sorry, hi, can everybody hear me and see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Okay, I think I had a bit of network issue. So I was saying that, is there any particular metrics or values in the data that you would like us to visualize so that we can start with that before we go in depth into the visuals in Power BI? So nobody has gone through the data and had ideas of the things they want to visualize from the data set.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi, can you hear me?
I can hear you, Deborah.
Okay, so if you're asking if there's any like idea that we have to create a metric, right?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. So I went through the data and I kind of like created like some things on my end.
Okay,
But
so can you just tell me one?
I'm coming, sorry. I need to go back there. I'm coming.
Okay. Okay, so while we wait for Deborah, let's just go through the Power BI visualization pane and talk about some of the visuals. If you come here, as I mentioned last week, this is our Power BI visualization pane. And it has a couple of visuals the default visuals that you have when you open your Power BI. And as I mentioned, you can also import visuals into your Power BI. But for you to be able to import visuals into your Power BI, you have to be signed in. You have to have an account. And you cannot use, I don't know if it has changed now, but the last time I checked, you can't use your Gmail, your Ymail, your Yahoo Mail, and all of that to open Power BI. You have to use your work or school accounts to open a Power BI account. So this is a stacked bar chart. And for the stacked bar chart, what it does is that if you have, for example, sales by gender, you probably have more than one gender, male and female. You can use the stacked bar chart to represent that. So let me do that. This is the horizontal stacked bar chart. There's also the vertical one. So let's do sales by region. So for our region, we'll come to our location table. You know that I mentioned last week that, yes, when you want to visualize in Power BI, I don't know if I mentioned this part of the screen here, I don't know if you can see my screen. This part of the screen here is where you put in the column values that you want to visualize. So we have city, we have location, we have postal code, region, and state. Our value in this case is our sales. So we'll come to our orders table because that's where our sales is in, and select sales. If you click on this, Power BI, as I mentioned, is an intelligent tool. So you already know that, okay, sales is the value field. So it brings it to value. So you can click and it takes it to value. Sometimes it doesn't take it to the right field, especially for non-numerical columns. So if I want to specify where I want the sales to be, instead of just clicking it, I can come to sales, click it and drag it and drop it on values. And then it comes to values. So it's just showing a straight line because we have not categorized it. For a stacked column chart, there's also a legend field. And why is there a legend field? Because I said that we want to show sales for each region by gender. Okay, do we have gender here? Okay, let's do sales for each sales rep by region. So for my legend here, I will come to region. So my region is on my location table. Because this data has been modeled properly, that is why we're able to pick the fields from different table. And that is one of the things that Kite mentioned. If, for example, I did not model my data at all and my tables are just there, if I come and pick locations, it's just going to show me the same figure all through. But because we have modeled this data, that is why we're able to pick fields from each region. And what Power BI does is it will go to that other table and filter whatever you want to get from that table. So we are going to put our region in our legend because we want to show it by region. See that it has changed now and showing the value for each region. And now we want to go ahead and show us the sales rep. Our sales team sales rep is here. So we click on this. Oh, sorry, didn't go to that visual. So I have to select the visual first. So I'll click and drag my sales rep and put my sales rep on my axis. And this is what we have. This is not a great way to visualize your data. It looks good, but the reason why it doesn't look good is because organic sales has a whole lot of sales amounts. The organic is, so let me just explain what organic is. Sales reps are people that are sales rep, as name implies. But for organic sales are people that did not come through any sales rep. They just come on their own. Oh, there's a superstore. Let me go and order myself. They didn't come through any of these sales rep, Maurice Garcia and any of that. They just came on their own to buy this product. And that is why the sales amount is very big, because there are a lot of people that are coming in to buy products on their own than there are sales rep bringing in customers. So if, for example, you want to visualize this data to your superiors, you don't want to show them this data like, because they just want to see sales reps. They probably will still want to see organic sales, but the sales rep is significantly bigger that you can't see the difference. The organic sales is significantly bigger that you can't see the difference between all the sales reps. So what I can do in this case is to remove this organic sales from this visual, because I only want to see the sales rep without the organic sales. And what I will do to get that is, I will come to this organic sales here and right click, and then I would exclude. Come to organic sales, let me just go through that again. Right click and I would exclude. What happened? I think I did the wrong thing. So let me go back and see what is happening. Let me exclude again. And you see the details. We can't display this visual because a measure is used in cross highlighting. Please remove the measure or cross highlight. Okay, so let me just undo. Sorry, please give me a moment to figure out what is going on with that. Let me remove this region and see if I still have the same. Oh, okay. So I think it is because of region. The region is filtering for each sales rep. And because that region is used as a filter in case, when I remove organic, I don't have the correct data. That is why Power BI gave me that error. Let me explain that again. my region, let me go back and put location region, is a filter for each of the sales rep on this table. Okay, so now I can't see my organic again because when I have my region here, let me go back and put in my organic. I would explain how I did that to you. So when I have my region here, these regions here, in a way, they act as a filter in my data. If I click on central here, you can see that something has changed in my data. The color has become faded and it's highlighting only the blue part of the report because blue represents central. If I click on east, every other thing has faded and then this darker shade of blue becomes highlighted because I have filtered to show me the east. So in this case, the region can also serve as a filter. And if I'm removing a portion of my data, it just scatters the filter. Let me just use the word scatter. It ruins the filter, it scatters it, and Power BI does not know what to do. So if in that case I want to only show my sales reps without showing organic, the first thing I can do is I can just cancel this region filter for the legend and come here to exclude organic, which it has done, and I can now bring back my region to my legend. And now I can see all of my regions for each of my sales rep. So when I excluded organic, if you come to filter pane here, remember that I mentioned last week that whatever filters you have implemented on visuals will be showing on this filter pane. And for example, for my region, I did not filter my region at all. It is showing me all of my 4 regions. For my sales, it's showing me all of the sales. I didn't remove anybody's sales. For my sales rep, it is showing me all the sales reps except for the fact that I excluded one, which is organic sales reps. So if you want to bring back your organic sales here, you can just come here and cancel this. And it to bring back your...
You still need that.
Okay, I still need that. When I'm done with this, then we'll go with yours.
Okay.
Yes, any question before we move on? Oh, you have to use your own, based on your own discretion, however you want to represent your data. As I said, for analysis, you're the owner of your analysis. You already know what you want to do to your data. You know what you want to show. So for me, I don't want to show organic because organic is significantly higher than all the other sales rep. And when I show a sales manager this, he knows that he probably would know that organic is higher, or maybe he does not know. I can represent organic in another different way, but he wants to know what is going on with his sales reps, not organic sales. But organic sales has been included as part of his sales rep because, in a way, it is still a part of the sales team, but not the sales team that a sales manager wants to see. So if my sales manager wants to see the sales of the sales team, he probably doesn't want to see organic sales, so I can just remove organic sales from it. So it is based on your own discretion and how you understand the data and the person that you are analyzing for. Does that answer your question, Deborah?
It's Rebecca. What I mean
sorry,
is,
Rebecca.
I just saw you right-clicking and then selecting exclude, but I didn't see anything related to organic. So I don't know how it works on organic.
Okay, I understand now. I understand your question. So if you come to this, let me increase the size. Quickly increase the size so that you can see it well. It might be a bit tiny on my screen. Okay. organic, we have Maurice Garcia, we have Daniel Gates, and all of that. So the first bar here is for organic. If, for example, I want to remove force, Stella Giving, this bar here is for Stella. I don't know if you can see what I'm pointing to. That bar is for Stella. So I'll click on that particular bar that belongs to Stella and right click to exclude Stella. The same thing I did for organic. I'm going to click on this bar that belongs to organic. I'll right click and exclude organic. Okay, as I mentioned, we can't exclude that way until because of the filter. Rebecca, does that answer your question?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
All right, thank you. So, Deborah, you can go ahead and give us a metric for us to realize.
Okay. The first one is quantity of categories sold in each city.
Okay, quantity of each category sold in cities. Okay, what visual should we use to represent that?
I'm coming. The clustered column chart.
The clustered column chart. Oh, that's great. So we have the clustered column bar chart. So let's use the vertical one. Okay, so we're going to show the quantity. So can somebody tell me where quantity would go? Either in axis, legend, or value. Where would our quantity go? Anybody?
I think value. I think value.
Yes, thank you. Our quantity will go to our values, and our quantity is in our orders table. So let's assume that, okay, you have a lot of tables and you don't want to start going through all the tables. You can easily search here on the search bar and quantity. So our quantity will go to values. And if we select quantity, it will automatically go to values. Then our region, right, Deborah, if I got you right. Hi, Deborah.
I did not get that.
You said quantity by region.
No. I said quantity of category sold in each city.
Each city, okay, quantity category. So in this case, our category is going to be in our legend. Sold in each city. And the reason why it is in the legend is because we don't have a lot of categories, but we have a lot of cities. So we can do cities. Power BI automatically takes it to our axis. And then category is in our product, so we can do category. So we have that here. Let me just reduce the size of this. We'll come back to that. So, yes, we have this. New York City is really selling a lot. So this is like a lot for somebody to scroll through. I remember that I said that we can just show us the top 10 or bottom 10. So let's say we want to show the top 10 city. Remember, we want to show the top 10 city. You know what you want to show the top 10 for. So I'll come to my filter pane here. This is my filter. It has shown me all of the fields in my data. I have category field, I have city field, and I have quantity field. I want to show top 10 cities, so I'll go to my city field because it's my city I want to show top 10 for. This little drop down here, I'll click on it. For this filter type, you can see basic filtering here. And what basic filtering does is, if for example, you want to show only like a few cities, I can just click on Aberdeen and Akron to just show me those cities instead of showing all of the cities. So that exclude I did. You can also do it this way by coming to your filter pane and choosing which particular city you want to show. I will just remove this filter because I want to show all of my city. There's another filtering type here. If you come here, you would see top N. And what this top does is show you top or bottom of a particular field that you want to see. So in this case, we want to show top, there's top and bottom here. We want to show top 10. So in this blank space here, I just put 10. Top 10, what am I showing? Top 10 cities. Top 10 cities by what? Like, what are we trying to view the top 10 cities? How do we know what cities are the top 10? We want to show top 10 cities by the value of their quantity, because we are showing cities by quantity here. So I'll have to come back to my table that has my quantity. My quantity is on my orders table. So I would select quantity here. This is quantity. So I'll click and drag quantity and add it by value of quantity. And then I apply my filter. So it has shown me only my top 10 city by quantity. So there are other ways you can do this. Let's say you want to show the quantity sold, but you want to show it by the value of sales that they have sold instead of city. Instead of quantity, I can come here and click on sales and apply filter. So it's only showing me, in this case, what this data is showing me my top 10 cities by the amount of sales, the quantity sold by my top selling cities in terms of the amount of product or the value of sales that they have bought. So that is what it's showing me. So you can see top 10 by sales, but it's showing me the quantity of the top 10 selling cities. Okay, so that is how to do the top 10. Let's assume we want to show bottom 10. Let me go back to quantity, because we are viewing by quantity here. If you want to see bottom 10, the same, and then we apply filter, and this is our bottom 10. The reason why the bottom 10 is like this is because they are our bottom sellers, so they don't buy a lot. These cities don't buy a lot from us. For I'll be lean, for example, they only buy office supplies from us. That is why the office supply is here. And if you can see, they're almost showing the same quantity, because our bottom 10 is only buying 2 products of maybe a particular product category. So top 10, let's just use top 10 to visualize that, and then we apply filter. Okay, does anybody have any question?
Please, I have a question.
Okay, please go ahead.
Or is it even a request? I think it's a request. Please, can you explain axis, legend, and values so that irrespective of whichever metric we're trying to find with this Power BI, you can know where to put what? Do you get my question?
Yes, I do. Okay, so before I go into axis, legend, and values, for each of the visual, it changes. If I select a card visual, for example, I don't have axis, legend, and values again. I have fields. If I select my pie chart or my donut chart, I have legend, values, and details. I don't have axis again. And tooltips. Oh, that's a great thing. So what are tooltips? If you come here to Power BI and I'm trying to increase this, and you put your cursor to hover this New York City, you can see that when you click on that, or when you just hover over that New York, you will see New York City, office supplies, and quantity. That pop-up that shows is called a tooltip. Most times you will not need to use it, because Power BI automatically comes with a tooltip for your visual, unless you want to show a particular thing on your tooltip. Most times Power BI just sorts it out for us. So I don't really use tooltips unless my data or my analysis requires me to use a tooltip. So it changes with the visuals that you want to put. If you put in a table visual, for example, you can only see values here. So it really changes. So let's, for example, use this visual that we are already on. For our axis is the the categorical part of the data in this case. We have y and x axis, but this did not specify which of the x or y axis to use. But the category part of the data is mainly our axis. For sales rep is the one that we want to categorize. We want to see the sales for each of the sales rep. That is for our axis. For legend, we already know what legend is from our mathematics. Let's say we have male and female. Male and female can be put in our legends. That means we want whatever is on this axis to further categorize into male and female. And that's what we have in this table. Our axis is our city, but we now want this city to categorize into the different categories: furniture, office supply, and technology. That's what our legend does. If we remove our legend, it will show us all of our cities as one. For legend, you don't need it all the time. If, for example, you don't want to categorize your data further to show the different ways each city is segmented. If you just want to show the sales by city or the quantity by city, you can just leave it there. But let's assume that you want to try to show a comparison between each category for each city, then you can now do that and put it in the legend. And for New York City, we have furniture, office supply, and technology. That is what the legend does. And for values, as I mentioned, is usually the numerical part of your data. So you are showing quantity by New York City. In this case, because quantity is numerical, then quantity is shown as values. But let me give you an example of when your values is not a numerical column. So for example, I bring my product ID and put it here. If you come to these values, you notice that Power BI has already done count of product ID. If you can see my screen, you see count of product ID against just showing me product ID. And why did it do that? It did that because a value is supposed to be numerical. So it cannot show me product ID because product ID has been stored in a text format. And so what it does is, instead of showing me an error, it just counts my product ID because it is assuming, remember that Power BI is a business intelligence tool, it is assuming that you want to show the count of all of your product IDs here. So that is what happens when you put a text value in a numerical value field. I hope that answered your question, Clementina.
Yes, thank you very much.
Okay, so let me go back to my values. Is my quantity.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, you can. Please do.
Okay. You said depending on what you select, I'm interested in knowing what the legend field or whatever it's called, what it entails. I don't know what it is that falls into that category of legend.
Okay, so as I mentioned earlier, the legend is most of your visualization of what you want to visualize is based off your own discretion and your reporting needs. For the legend, it helps you further categorize your axis into smaller fields. For example, I want to see the sales of New York City, but I want to see what products, the sales of each product that is being sold in each city. Do you understand that bit now before I go further?
Yes, I do.
Okay, so I have 5 products and I have a lot of cities. So I want to see how well these products are doing in each city. And I want to represent them in one visual. So what I do is I have visualized my city by my quantity. So I want to further visualize how my products are doing in each of my city. Okay, New York has 3,417 quantities sold. What products are making up these sales and which of these products are doing so well in New York City? So I'll now say, okay, let me come and see my product category. I now come here and put it in my legend. So what it has done is that sale that we had for New York City, it has now further divided into that sale into smaller units. So we know that New York City has a total of, we had 3,000 something sales that time. So it means that for furniture makes 720 quantity of the sale. Quantity makes 2,000, sorry, office supplies make up 2,065, while quantity makes, technology makes up 632. So for the total sales I had for New York City, I want to see how each of the products are doing in that New York City. So that's what the legend does. It categorizes, it further breaks down a big part of your data into smaller segments for you to see what is going on. It's just very similar to your pie chart, for example. Let me use a pie chart. It's just very similar to what a pie chart does. So once we category and quantity, category, office supply, furniture, and technology. This donut chart has broken them down and grouped them as a whole. The whole is 100%. Yeah, and that's it's showing me how 100%. Yes, how many percentage of that 100% is office supply taking? How much percentage is furniture taking, and how much percentage is technology taking? That's what a pie chart does. It's the same as this. We have a total of 3,000 plus quantity for New York City. So how much quantity is furniture selling? How much is office supply selling, and how much is technology selling? And so I put my product category in my legends to show me that those values. That's have I explained that well now?
Yes, thank you very much.
Okay. So we won't be able to look at all of the visuals in Power BI because of time. So you would go and explore a lot of them on your own. So let me just do one more. Let's do the line chart. We're going to go to formatting the visuals now when I just do the line chart visual. Reduce the size. So let's go to the line chart visual. Remember that, this is a stack column chart. Remember that we mentioned that for the line charts, it is good to show trends over time. So we want to show our sales per month. For example, I click on my month is on my axis, and I go to my orders table and click on sales, and it shows me the trends over the month. Now remember that there are a lot of years in this data. There is 2014, 2015. If you look at data well, there's 2014, 2015, 2016, 2017. So this is where we can now use the legend. This shows a summation of all the years. For all the years in January, this is the total sales. For all the years in February, this is the total sales. So maybe I want to see the trends of each year. Okay, what happened in January of 2014? What happened in January of 2015? Instead of having 4 line chart visual that shows 2014, 2015, 2016, 2017, we can just have all of that in one visual. I remember that Power BI is a very dynamic tool. So if, for example, you now have 2014 in one visual, 2015 in one visual, and there's a new year called 2020, it means that you have to go back to that report and create a new line chart for 2020. We don't want to have that. We want whenever somebody adds a new year, we want our visual to be able to accommodate that new data, as against creating new data and new visuals for each data that is being added to your report. So what we can do in that case is to come to our legend field and put year there. And we can now see the blue line represents 2014, the dark blue line represents 2015, orange line represents 2016, and the purple line represents 2017. So if, for example, a new year comes and they have 2018 data, this visual will update and show 2018 data. But if you've placed each of the years in different visual and 2018 data comes, Power BI will not automatically create a new visual for 2018. It will not do that. You have to come and manually create your visual yourself. So the reason why you want to do all of this is to reduce the number of times you come and make changes to your data, you want to create a report that whenever somebody puts in new data to your report, you as the report creator, you don't have to go back and say, okay, they've put in 2017 data. Let me allow my data accommodate 2017 data. No, you don't want to be doing all of that. And there's also let me open a new page. There's also a card visual. If you remember last week, I used this card visual. And what this card visual does is show you a single value. A single value. So for example, you want to see the total sales that was made for Superstore. So I can just come here. You can see that it has only one field and click on sales. 2.3 million. That is what the card visual does. It shows a single value. If I come and click on quantity, it will not click because it just shows me one single value. So for me to see the quantity on the same visual, I have to unclick sales and maybe drag or click quantity. And then it shows me the total quantity. That's what a card visual does. There's also the table visual. Where's the table visual? Okay, this is the table visual. And as the name implies, it is a table. Table visuals only has one field here. But for this value field that is here, you can add in a lot of fields to it. So if, for example, I want to show a table, I want to show a table that shows me my years, but I want to see the profits, quantity, and sales of each years. The table shows me. So you can add as many fields as you want. You can add discount. You can have location ID. When you add location ID now, the table becomes bigger because there are a lot of location and they want to see the profit, quantity, sales, and discount for each of these locations. And that's why the table became bigger. I'm going to be removing my location. So if, for example, I also want to see, let me use category because we don't have a lot of categories. Yeah. So if I want to see category, let me increase the size of this so that you can see what is going on well. So you can also see that for each of the categories, you can see the discount, you can see the sales, you can see the quantity and profit. You can use table to visualize some aspects of your data. And sometimes what we use table for is when we've written formulas, we're talking about DAX measures in the next class. When you've written formulas and you want to see if your formula is working correctly, you can put it on a table visual to see that, to make sure that whatever you've put in your formula is showing correctly. You might not end up using it as a visual in your data. You just want to test some things in your data. People also use table visuals for that. So let's quickly do some formatting to our visual. So this is our table visual. In the table visual, you can see that there's a total field here. We have total of profit, total of quantity, total of sales, and total of discount. We don't want all of this going on in our data. Maybe we want to just visualize it on a card. For our quantities already on the card, let's put our profit on the card too. So a new card and orders, profits. Let me save my reports before my laptop goes off. So we have profit here. And what else do we have? We have sales. So we can click on a new card, sales. And then we have discounts. Let me just Ctrl C and Ctrl V. You can Ctrl C and V too, but I have to remove the field that is here and add my new field, discounts. So if you come to this visualization pane here, what this visualization pane does is to help you format whatever is going on in the selected visual here. And it changes as this value, these fields change. The visualization pane also changes with the visual that you have. So if you come here, format your visual, you click on it. There are different things that you can do to format your visual. For example, the grid lines on our table, if you click on grid, we can change the color of the grid lines. Now it's gray, we can change it to blue. You see that the grid lines have changed. We can change it to purple. We've changed the line and all of that. If you want the grid line to be wider, the space between the grid lines to be wider, you can increase it. You can see that as I'm increasing, it is increasing. The reason why it's not increasing is because size of my data is not noticeable because the size of my data is a bit small, so I can just have increased the width of the line. So it depends on how you want to format your data. You can just make changes based on this formatting pane here. So if, for example, we want to change some of the values in our data, we want to increase the size of our text, you can just come here to increase or reduce the size. The font style, you want to change the font style, you can come here and maybe change the font style to, let me change to Sego UI Bold. It has changed. You want to change the font color, you can also do that. You've changed the font color. You want to change the background, we can do that also. Change the background. We want to change the alternate text. Remember that this grid line, this our table, there are two colors of text here. So the first text is the blue, then the alternate text is the blue. If you want it to just have one color, and also make it blue. Let me sit and make sure I have the right shade of blue. As you can see, it has changed. And maybe I want to maintain one background for everything. I would also change the alternate background to that. And everything has changed. Now, this is my total. I don't want it to be there because I already have all of those values on top here. So I don't want it to be there. So if I come to this part, you see totals, and I click on it, I can just switch it off here. There's an option to switch off. So you can see that my totals have disappeared because I don't want it here. So if you remember last week in the last class, for some of the visuals I did, I added a bit of background to it, a bit of shadow to it. Shadows are very good to make your visuals very beautiful. So if I click on you can add a shadow to any visual. Let's assume I want to add a shadow to my card visual. I click on this. I go to General and Effects. And then, sorry, this is my background. You can see shadow here. Shadow is off. So I can just switch it on and then can see a shadow on my visual. I can use my format painter here to pick the format that has been applied on a particular visual and put it on another visual. So I click on my format painter and then I do this. So for you to use the format painter, you have to click on the visual and transfer the format from. I click it first, and I click on my format painter, and then I place it on the visual I want that format to be transferred to, and I click it. I do it again, and then I click it. You can see that there's a significant change in the beauty of my visual as I've added the shadow to the visual. It's not all visuals that you add shadows to. You can add shadows to visual, but it's not all of your reports that you add shadows to. There are different ways for you to format your visuals that you may not even need to add shadows to, and those visuals will still be very beautiful. So we can do that. And yeah, for visualization, it's very good to have your visuals arranged. If you say dashboard that, if you're using Carrywise, for example, or Piggyverse, and you see your dashboard, you see that everything is like the same size. Your card, if you have like 5 cards on your Piggyverse dashboard, you see that those 5 cards, they have the same size, they have the same text size. If there's a bar chart or a pie chart or 2 bar or pie charts, they are of the same sizes, or even if they are not of the same sizes, they are aligned in such a way that everything is beautiful. So it's very important that when you are creating your visual, once you are done with all the visuals that you want to create, you have to align them in such a way that your visual is pleasing to the eyes. So let's do that now. I don't like this blue color, it's very ugly. This blue and orange, I don't like it. So I'm going to be changing that. Sorry. What color can we use apart from blue and orange? Can anybody give me a color that we can use? Purple. Oh, she's purple. Okay, we're going to use purple. So for the grid lines, sorry. This new visualization pane was recently updated to Power BI, so I'm not used to it. That's why I'm trying to look for a lot of things there. If it was the other visualization, I would have just easily searched and it will show me what I want, but this is kind of hard getting used to. So let's use our text. Let's use purple. For our background, let's just use white to be safe. For our alternate background, let's use gray. And then for our text, let's use black. Okay, let's use purple also. Good. This gray is not fine. What can we use with purple? So we'll start rounding up now. Okay, let's use this color. Good. Okay, so if you see our headers is very tiny. It's tinier than the visuals, the numbers that are there. So we can change the header size. So we see column headers here. You can come here and also do some manipulation on it and change the background or the text. Let's change the text to purple since we're using purple. And we can increase the size to, yes. We use Segai bold, so Sego, I don't know the pronunciation. So we can do that. And I'm not going to add a shadow to this. Oh yeah, so notice if I click on year 2014 here, notice that my quantity, profit, sales, and discount has changed. And it's only highlighting 2014 because I have filtered my entire report to show me only 2014 data, and it filters every other part of the report to 2014. If I click on 2015, the same thing happens. If I come here and click on office supplies, it will only show me the quantity for office supplies, the profit, the sales, and then the discount for office supplies. So let me make this small. And I'm going to be rounding up now. Okay, so I want my cards to be properly.
Hello, Vicky. I have a question.
Okay.
As you are rating your cards, I have a question here. So, for this table visual, why did we have to, change colors for it? I saw text and alternate texts. Like, why changing just one color? Why didn't it affect on everything, on the whole text in the table visual?
Okay, so it did that because if you notice that our table default type is this type that has two colors. That's the design of the table. So it's just based on the design of the table. So if you click on the table visual and you come to, oh God, I hope I know where it is. Okay, yes. Style preset. What type of style do you want your table to be? So the default style is this style that has two colors, alternate colors. One row has one color, another row has a different color, and it goes that way. So if I want to change my table to none.
Ene, please mute your mic, please. Ene.
So if I want to change my table style to none, you can see that we only have one color all through because that's the style of my table. It just depends on the style that you choose your table design to be. If you want to change it to minimal, just one color. If you go to that part of the table that I changed the style, let me see if it's here. I think it's under effects. Yes, you can't see all of those alternate colors again. You can only see one background color because of the type of table that I have chosen. So it's because the type of table I chose is a type that has alternate colors. If I choose on alternating rows now, you can see that this one has alternate colors, white and gray. So if I go to general and I click on background, it's my background. Oh, this is my background color, sorry. Please pardon me, I'm not used to this new Power BI style. Okay, my visual, and I go to values, I think. Yes. You can see text, background, alternate text, alternate background, because it has alternative rows. Let me go back to my minimal that only has one. And if you go to values, it's the same. But you can see that the background and the alternate background have the same color. If I change the alternate background color, it will go back to that default type of having two alternate rows in the table. Chizoba, I hope that answers your question.
Yep.
Yeah, so it's just the table style and design. Okay, so I'm not sure these are the same sizes, but when you're doing it, just make sure that they are the same size. I'm going to do this. So Power BI already gives you, if you see that there are red lines appearing when I try to manipulate my visual. So for example, you just want to be sure that these two are of the same size. You can come here, you can see that they are of the same size in terms of width. So you want to make sure that they are of the same size. Well, then you can click and you just know. I know that those two are with the same size, and I want to make sure that they are the same line. This red grid lines helps me to do all of that. Then I can copy a visual. Let me come and copy this visual here. Control C, and then I bring it to this one, and I Control V. That visual I copied appears here. So I'm rounding up now. Sorry if I take your time. So I can put that visual here. And as I did for these other visuals, I can also change the colors of my bars. My legend is on. If I want my legend, if you don't want to show, for example, we have our quantity on our y-axis and our city here. I can just come here and show and switch off my x and y-axis, the titles, and switch it off like this. And then just switches off my x and y axis. So let me just change the color. Click on my columns. And I want my furniture to be white. I'm maintaining a purple theme. We don't want our report to have so many colors. It's not good practice to have plenty colors on your report. So just minimal colors, yes. So we have a nice report. There are other things you can do to your reports, titles, and all of that. So you can just explore the visualization pane and create different visuals, change your colors, change your titles, add shadows, and all of that to your report. Just in case you try exploring during the course of the week and maybe you are confused about something or you have a question during the course of next week's class, we'll spend the first 10 minutes just trying to explain or answer your questions on this visualization, because there are a whole lot of things that we can do on our visuals that have not been covered in this class. So we've come to the end of the class for today. If you have any question, now is the time to ask your question. Any question, please?
Hello, please. My question is, how soon are we getting the recording of this class?
We'll make it a bit faster than or sooner than the last time. As Peter mentioned earlier, we had a bit of technical issues with the last one. We're not able to upload because of the size of the visual. So we usually first compress the visual to a size that is not too big for download. So I don't want to give a time, but we'll make sure that we try to send it early next week. But if we're not able to send it next week, we'll send you an email to let you know, please. We apologize for the last time.
All right, thank you.
Yes, any other question?
Okay, no question from my end.
Okay, so I want to assume that everybody understands what we have covered today, from modeling to visualization, and our first class on data cleaning. Okay, all right. So we've come to the end of the class. For the assignment for this class, so you'll be submitting this assignment with the first assignment together, because I'm going to assume that you would have done the transformation on the data, and then you would have modeled your data, and now you want to show me some nice visuals on your data. So I want you to go to the data set that we've shared with you on this orders, on the superstore data and the customer data, import them into your Power BI, clean the data, model the data, and create beautiful visuals with the data. And by next week, we would like to see your report. Is that fine? That's
Please,
something
can
we
you
can
type
do.
it in the chat box?
Yeah, I will. I'll do that. But is that something we can do?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much for joining our class today. Any other question before we finally end the class? Let me quickly type the assignment. Okay, so I just added that you create visuals that tell a story about your data. You don't just want to be creating quantity by city because you feel that, oh, let somebody see quantity by city or something. You want to create data that reports that tell a story about your data, because you don't want your manager to be wondering, okay, what is going on this page? I'm seeing profit, quantity, sales, discounts going on. I'm also seeing location and all of that. So you want to tell story about your data. Is your first page talking about only location? Is your second page talking about sales? What is going on in the sales part of your data? Is it talking about customers and all of that? So I want you to put some thoughts into your visuals, into your reports and visuals that you create on the report, so that when you see your report, like you're like, I can't believe that I did this. So yeah, thank you for today's class. We hope that you had a worthwhile feedback.
Yes, it
Sorry,
was.
when are we submitting?
I didn't get you.
When are we submitting the assignment?
Submit by Friday of next week. So we have to make sure that we send the recording very early next week.
Okay.
So our email, yes. Any other question or feedback? Okay, so in the absence of none, thank you for joining our class today. We'll see you same time, same station next week. Have a wonderful weekend. Bye.
All right.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Thank you.